Welcome back. In this session, we're going to make this modern art cube sculpture based on the idea of David Smith. We looked at David Smith's sculptures in class, looking at a PowerPoint, and we talked about his abstract expressionist style and how he just used, basic forms to create his sculptures and create kind of a feeling of space with the forms and a feeling of negative space that goes in between the forms, this space that's in here, or this space that's in down here, and talking about how those pieces are part of the sculpture. So to get started, we're going to just be looking at colors. We're going to choose two analogous colors. We're going to call them our A color and our B color. Analogous colors are next to each other on the color wheel. So you're going to need 3 sheets of paper. I'm going to choose A color being red and my B color being violet. And you're going to have 1 of your A color and 2 of your B color. All right, so I'm just going to write up here on the top of my frame A and B, so we can kind of keep those 2 straight. And these pieces of paper are 9 inches by 12 inches. Okay. Then you're going to need a template. This template is 2 inches by 6 inches, and that's going to come into the frame later when we need to talk about that. Okay, to get started, you're going to take all 3 of your sheets of paper and you're going to fold them in half the hamburger way, or like this. We're folding them in half that direction. So I'm going to fold one, set it aside, fold the other one, set it aside, and the third one, and set it aside. Okay, make sure that those are folded nicely, crisply, accurately. So you have your 2 B's and your 1 A. All right, then take those papers and you're just going to cut them right down the middle on your fold line there. So grab your scissors and try to be as accurate as possible so that the measuring of this works out. Cut right on that fold. Okay, so you should have 2 pieces of paper that are 9 inches by 6 inches. Okay, so there's now 2 pieces of A, and we'll end up having 4 pieces of our B color. Okay, and if we don't get finished with all of these in this first session, you can keep these extra pieces inside of your folder for our next session when we work on it. Okay, so there we go. We have our 4 B pieces. All right, now we're going to just set our B pieces aside for the moment and 1 of our A pieces aside. Put those in your folder. And we're going to start by making kind of the template for a cube. This is what it's going to end up looking like at the end. Okay, and this is just going to make 1 cube. You can see I've got this thin strip over here, which are going to be the glue tabs, and this is going to end up folding down like that to make the cube shape, and then these flaps, just like a box, would go inside like that, and it's going to kind of go around like that with this tab on the inside. Okay, so to get started, take your first piece of paper. I'm going to rotate it like this so it's vertical, and I'm going to use this template to divide my paper into thirds. Okay, it's 6 inches wide, so the template here is 2 inches that way. So you're going to line it up with the edge of your paper and draw a straight line down. And so there you can kind of see that if I rock it back and forth in the light. And then I'm going to line it up with this edge here and draw my line right down the side there. One problem the kids often have is they don't hold their pencil straight up and down. They hold it kind of on diagonal, and then it slides underneath that paper. So hold your pencil straight up and down, and you should have 3 equal spots there. So I'm just going to write on here that this is 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So you can kind of just understand that those are in fact thirds. Then you're going to need to fold right on those lines. So I'm just going to take this paper and I'm going to fold it right on that line. If you press hard enough with your pencil, you might even score it a little bit, and you'll have like a little line there already. I'm going to fold this one right up so it matches up with where the other fold is. Okay, and if you want to use your bone folder, make sure those creases are nice. Okay, so there's my folds. You can see they fall right along the line where that pencil is. Okay, now the next trick is to get the glue tab here. Okay, here's my little glue tab. You can see the tab right here. So you're going to take the right hand edge here and you're just going to fold over literally like a pinky width, not too much more. You don't really need that much more, and you want to make sure that as you fold this, your edges, I mean, it's folded accurately. You know, these edges are square here and the folds here line up with the folds that you already have. So that little flap is folded down. Okay, now you're going to keep that flap folded in, and you're going to line this edge up with this edge. So you're going to valley fold it right to left and try to get it as equal and parallel and squared up as you possibly can, and then crease that right down the middle. Okay, now you're going to hold this nice and tight, and you can even take this piece of paper and stick it under that flap if you want to kind of hold it tight, if you can't keep it tight yourself. And then you're going to take this edge again and you're going to fold it in half one more time. Line it right up with the edge best as you possibly can and crease it really well with your bone folder. Now within this rectangle you should have 1, 2, 3 squares. Then you're going to unfold it, and you should have your paper looking something like that. I'm just going to re-crease this one. I'm going to reverse that crease this direction and make sure all my creases are folding in towards the center. Then we're going to need to do some cutting. So I'm going to do some dotted lines on where we are going to cut. We are going to cut, actually I'll do solid lines. We're going to cut on this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, and this line. And on each of, and this line. And on each of these lines, we want to make sure that we stop right at the crease. All right? You want to make sure, I'm going to just turn my light on there a little bit so you can see that a little better. You want to make sure that you stop right where all of those lines intersect, right on all those edges, because if you cut too far, your box will end up falling apart. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there so you can kind of mark your paper up. Then, once you get it marked up, we're going to cut it. So take your scissors and you're going to cut right on that crease line, and you're going to stop right where that little X is. Okay, so that that flap can fold up. You're going to do that on all of your creases, being really careful not to go too far. Okay, so that has all of those cuts on there now so that we can fold it up into our cube. Now, we are going to end up decorating the outside pieces of our cube with these repeated line patterns. So we don't want to fold it up into a cube quite yet. We want to just fold it in half and glue this one tab to over here, and that'll kind of keep it lined up and nice and neat. So take your glue bottle, and remember it's a silent tool, it's the tap and glue bottle, and you want to just put a couple dribbles of glue right on this middle tab. Don't put it on the other tabs. but just on that middle tab. Okay, so there's my glue. And then you're going to take this edge here and fold it over so it lines right up with that glue tab. Hold it down for a second. And then when you open it up, you should be able to see through. You should be able to see the little tab right there on the inside. Okay, and this will allow you to lay your box flat and do the decorations on the outside of it and slide it back into your folder. Then when we get to the assembling part of the lesson, you're going to assemble this into a box by flapping this one down first with the tab and then putting all the rest of them on top like this. And that will be one cube. Okay, so we just got done doing our 1A cube. Now, in the next session, you're going to take your remaining 5 pieces of paper, your 1A and your 4 B's, and turn them all into cubes.